The Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro delivered a speech regarding the 30th anniversary of the civic military rebellion on February 4th, 1992. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin met in Beijing ahead of the official opening for the Winter Olympics in the Chinese capital. Ethiopia will be hosting the African Union Summit this weekend. The continent's leaders will discuss human capital, coups in the region, conflict, and terrorism, as well as socio-economic development. Hi, this is From the South. I'm your news anchor, Dio Martin, from the teleSUR studios in Havana. We begin with the news. The people of Venezuela commemorate the 30th anniversary of the civic military rebellion of February 4th, 1992 with a large mobilization. Hundreds of people celebrate the military rebellion. Civilians said that thanks to Commander Hugo Rafael Chavez Frias, the people of Venezuela are free and independent. They also assured that both men and women are committed to homeland in order to guarantee the country's peace and stability. At the same time, they made a call to continue strengthening the Bolivarian revolution. President Maduro delivered a speech regarding the 30th anniversary of the military and civilian uprising of February 4th, 1992. On that date, Hugo Chavez made his first appearance in the political life of the nation when he led a group of troops in an attempt to oust the governing elite at the moment. Historians regard the actions as a military failure, although they served as a much-needed morale boost for many people who desired a change in Venezuela's political project and better possibilities of social equality. President Nicolás Maduro said to reflect upon the significance of the events that transpired on that date and think the support, loyalty, and bravery of the people who bet on the Bolivarian project, initiated and led by Chavez, who now inspires many voices of new generation of Venezuelans. Maduro likewise expressed his commitment to the people of Venezuela. During the current celebration for the National Dignity Commemoration Day, President Nicolás Maduro remembers in his speech the moment Commander Hugo Chavez and the Bolivarian movement bursted with the history of the Venezuela into the world.
Commander Hugo Chavez, his comrades and the Bolivarian movement burst in the history of the Venezuelan history of the world at a very special moment, where capitalism declared its victory over the peoples of the world. The Soviet Union was falling in 1991. The bipolar world was getting to an end. North American imperialism was declaring its victory, and they were declaring the arrival of the unipolar world for 100 years. They felt joyful and victorious, and they were preparing their plans to colonize the countries of Latin America. And then, with the domination of Latin America and the Caribbean, they will go to for the dominion of the rest of the world with the neoliberal project.
While addressing the people gathered in the square of Los Próceres, President Maduro also remembered it was a surprise for the world how the people of Venezuela rose against the International Monetary Fund, the first popular uprising against a unipolar world. He also stated it was.
That's why it was a surprise for the peoples of the world. It was a surprise for history when that Monday, February 27th, the people of Venezuela rose against the International Monetary Fund. 28 of February 1989. It was the first popular uprising against a new unipolar world, against the drunkenness of power.
President Maduro described Commander Hugo Chavez and remembered his words to the people during the military uprising on February 4th.
The face of an indigenous, the face of a poor people, the face of our people, a face like a knife-like, of ours, of the people, of the depth of history, that bravery, that serenity, And he tells us three things that only the people listen to. That oligarchy did not hear what the people could interpret with their intelligence and their wisdom. He said three things. One, so for the moment it is not possible, but the hope continues. Two, better times will come, and Venezuela will have to take a new road. As it was. The project, better times will come, the Bolivarian project. And then he said something that for our generation of men and women of 45 years on, or old on, we've never seen. Today is a normal thing. The popular bravery of taking responsibility, of giving face.
On February 4th, 1992, the uprising led by Commander Hugo Chavez changed the course of Venezuela. A sentence marks the history of the Caribbean country. For now, it is a living experience that they interpret as a continuous construction of a better society and makes that date be considered and celebrated as a day of national dignity.
Artistic expression tells part of the history of a country. Music that vindicates a civilian military rebellion against a system that crushed the most impoverished. The uprising failed.
Compañeros, lamentablemente, por ahora los objetivos que nos planteamos no fueron logrados en la ciudad capital. Ya es tiempo de reflexionar y vendrán nuevas situaciones y el país tiene que enrumbarse definitivamente hacia un destino mejor.
But the phrase of Hugo Chavez, leader of the uprising, remain in the memory. For many Venezuelans, these words are more current than ever. They imply to keep on building. Nobody in this country knows the fact of that time. Everybody knows the history of this barracks, where the rebels of that 1992 were. Now in it, Hugo Chavez rests.
Viendo todo esto, habían unos hombres de mentes libres dentro del...
Seeing all this, there were some men with free minds inside the barracks, and they organized themselves and became rebels because of everything that was happening to the people. Because they come from the people. That army comes from the people. That is why today there is a great rebellion between people and soldier and people. That great union that we have had since February 4th.
Pueblo y soldado, soldado y pueblo. Esa gran unión que hemos tenido a partir de ese 4 de febrero.
February 4 is now the day of national dignity. Dignity, experts say, because that military movement made a difference with the existing political class of that period.
Commander Chavez first took responsibility for that military uprising that had never happened in this country. In the past, the leaders we had never taken responsibility for the events. I am the one responsible for this Bolivarian military rebellion, and I present Bolivar, who was in the status petrified, and then I launched the "for now" quote, and there he signaled a path of hope. In that sense, the responsibility of the historical figure of Bolivar and the "for now" had an impact on national public opinion.
The "for now" emblematic expression of Commander Hugo Chavez, more than a defeat, it is taken as an example to form a better society. Despite, they say, the blockade and sabotage by the U.S. This is how the Chavismo in Venezuela interprets it.
Adriana Sibori, teleSUR, Caracas.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin met in Beijing ahead of the official opening of the Winter Olympics in the Chinese capital. In a joint statement, the two leaders reaffirmed their support for each other's foreign policy while they also agreed on wider security issues. Both expressed concern over the AUKUS defense alliance, which includes Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Both heads of state also discussed a variety of issues, including trade and business deals, cooperation, lunar exploration, and plans to create financial mechanisms to offset the negative impact of unilateral sanctions. Russian leader attending the opening ceremony of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games, joining dozens of foreign dignitaries, including other presidents. Both heads of state backed up a joint call for NATO to halt its plans for further expansion and avoid the continuation of the Cold War mentality.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the invitation to the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. We know well that this is an enormous work. We're confident that our Chinese colleagues have accomplished it flawlessly, as it always happens here during the preparation of such large events.
During his visit on Friday, Vladimir Putin hailed his country's unprecedented ties with China at a time of growing tensions with the West over Ukraine and other issues.
As for our bilateral relations, they are developing in a progressive way with a spirit of friendship and strategic partnership. They have indeed become unprecedented. It is an example of dignified relations who help to mutually develop and support mutual development.
Argentine President Alberto Fernandez arrived in Beijing on Friday morning to attend the opening ceremony of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games and related activities. The Argentine head of state arrived in Moscow on Wednesday to formally start his tour of Russia, China, and Barbados, where on Thursday he had his first official meeting with his counterpart from the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. After concluding his stay in Russia, where he stressed his interest in strengthening ties with Putin's administration, the Argentine leader traveled to Beijing with a packed agenda and meetings with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Fireworks lit up the Beijing skyline as China launched the Winter Olympics on Friday. The opening ceremony began just after the arrival of Chinese President Xi Jinping and International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach at the national stadium that hosted the inaugural event at the 2008 Olympics. With the dimming of the lights, Beijing became the first city to host both Winter and Summer Games. The Olympics and the opening ceremony are always an exercise in performance for the host nation, a chance to showcase its culture and define its place in the world. Russian authorities denounced a strategy of information manipulation by Western powers to reinforce a version of an alleged military attack by Moscow on Ukraine. The Kremlin issued the alert after the United States government and the United States media claimed that Russia would broadcast a video of an alleged aggression by Ukraine against Russian territory to justify its attack on the neighboring nation. The Russian executive condemned the accusations, although he assured that this strategy promoted by the White House is not new and recalled that this type of maneuver has been used by the United States to justify its military invasions of other countries. Troops from Russia and Belarus are training ahead of the planned Union Resolve 2022 exercise due to take place this month. The Russian Defense Ministry published a video showing tanks, helicopters, and other military vehicles engaging in synchronized advancements. According to officials, the drills are taking place at 3 separate bases in Belarus. The current stage, known as Combat Cohesion, is designed to enable troops to practice defensive operations as well as techniques and methods to fight illegal armed groups. Alongside infantry troops, training also includes motorized units and artillery gun teams. The second part, which will take place from February 10 to 20, has been called Union Resolve 2022. The purpose of this latter phase is to practice offensive fighting and develop tactics for repelling external aggression, such as countering terrorism. Let's take a final short break now. Join us again after this. Hi, welcome back to From the South. Ethiopia will be hosting the African Union Summit this weekend. The continent's leaders will discuss human capital, coups in the region, and conflict and terrorism, as well as socio-economic development. The meeting, initially planned in a virtual format, will be held face-to-face after pressure from the government of Ethiopia, which hosts the organization. Ethiopia blames Western countries for pressuring some African Union members not to hold the AU Summit in Addis Ababa because of security concerns. More than 20 leaders are expected to attend the conference, convened under the theme Building Resilience and Nutrition on the African Continent, Accelerating Human Capital, Social and Economic Development. The AU Summit will address such issues as a wave of coups d'etat in which countries as Sudan, Mali, Guinea-Conakry, and Burkina Faso have been over the past year. The Economic Community of West African States has decided to send a stabilization force to help settle the security situation in Guinea-Bissau after Tuesday's failed coup. ECOWAS Commission President Jean-Claude Cassibrou said at press briefing after an extraordinary summit of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government that the regional bloc has decided to offer military support to Guinea-Bissau to secure its democracy and sustain peace and security in the country. Apart from the situation in Guinea-Bissau, the meeting also assessed the situation in Burkina Faso, Guinea-Conakry, and Mali. The mission to be deployed to Guinea-Bissau, composed of military and police, will be deployed from Gambia, where a stationary force of the organization has been located since the elections that removed Yahya Jammeh from power in 2017. The government of Guinea-Bissau confirmed 11 people died during the failed coup attempt. In Ecuador, specialized brigades and authorities at Ground Zero assess the impact of the landslide in one of the poorest neighborhoods of the capital city of Quito. In the meantime, humanitarian aid and solidarity with those affected is notorious. Our correspondent Henry Pillajo has a report.
The articulated work between volunteers, elements of the armed forces, and members of different public institutions does not stop. Here we coordinate and classify the food kits to be sent to different parts of the area affected by the mudslide.
What we have here is a fixed space for perishable food. Our role as a standpoint is to feed workers. We are municipal, provincial, national government. It doesn't matter.
Human Chains spread donations among the homeless and people who lost all their belongings. As you can see, people are very solidary. You cannot imagine the help they have given us in this tragedy so hard that we're going through. Such is life, and we are very grateful to all these people.
All our belongings. My daughter-in-law's little house. They saw it's gone. Everything has been lost. Everything from my children. Mine too. I had some pigs down there. All is gone. It is all empty. Thank God we are all fine.
The human resource deployed in this sector has also increased, exceeding 3,700 specialized and volunteer elements. The manual work in the search for more victims and missing persons is meticulous. It has been 3 days since a flood devastated this sector. Here, specialized unit continue with the removal of debris. What remains of a sports court where dozens of people were presumably playing a volleyball final. The monitoring of the streams of the protective forest adjacent to this sector is permanent to avoid a new collapse. Now, only a bitter memory remains of places like this one. Bad the misfortune that hit us when we least expected. The water came down and they were gone. Those who ran to the sides were saved. Others were swept away by the flood. Here we used to gather on Sundays to watch the volleyball games. An exclusion area has been created in this sector, which is controlled by security agents such as the police and the armed forces.
Henry Pillajo, teleSUR, Ecuador.
South Korea's daily coronavirus cases hit another all-time high on Friday with more than 27,000 cases reported, the third consecutive day of new cases topping these numbers. The country's Disease Control and Prevention Agency also reported 24 new deaths linked to the virus. According to the health ministry, the high numbers were caused by people still traveling for the Lunar New Year holiday. He added that while cases were surging, the country's medical system remained stable. The government has said they are working to minimize the number of patients facing severe illness and death. Health authorities urge people to follow expert advice and act calmly to overcome the current crisis. We've come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find these and many other stories on our website at teleSUR English. You can also follow us on social media for all the latest news. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For teleSUR English, I'm Dio Martin. Thanks for watching.